Welcome, folks. I am Jaby Koay, joined by ACHARA KIRK.
Yo!
We're looking at Venom, Let There Be Carnage. Oopsie daisy. Welcome, folks. I am Jaby Koay, joined by ACHARA KIRK.
Hi there.
We're looking at Venom, Let There Be Carnage. Trailer breakdown, Easter eggs, and details you missed. From New Rockstars, the YouTube channel, thank you, New Rockstars, for allowing us to react to this. You guys, if you enjoy the content that we're about to react to, head over to the description and click on that link. Give the original video that we're about to look at an upvote, and subscribe to New Rockstars if you haven't done so already. Also, subscribe here if you could, and give this video an upvote. That'd be very, very, very much appreciated. Okay, here we go. ACHARA.
Yeah?
Did you enjoy the Venom Let There Be Carnage trailer?
I loved it.
Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Eric Voss, and Venom Let There Be Carnage is a new trailer that lets there be plenty of carnage.
Yeah.
Carnage, with Venom doing an impression of us whenever Sony releases a No Way Home trailer.
Oh shit, that is the Raimi one.
Get vaccinated and we can revert coming this fall to coming this September and save Christmas by keeping No Way Home on schedule too.
Sure, I'll drink that Kool-Aid. Oh yeah.
I'm gonna break down this trailer frame by frame for all the hidden details that you might have missed, including the ways this film will fuse or refuse to fuse to Sony's other Spider-Man titles. This video is brought to you by OnePlus and their Nord line of phones. They have a wild new launch video that you're gonna have to see to believe, and I'm gonna be reacting to it later this video. We open with Eddie on his Ducati. He did have a motorcycle in the first movie, but not a Ducati. And notice how Venom controls his hands as he drives, similar to how Eddie let Venom Jesus take the wheel in his previous chase. Now, Eddie's helmet is a matching red with a black visor, and his motorcycle jacket is black with blue stripes and one red stripe, all of which could be part of a color scheme to reflect his relationship with Cletus Cassidy and Carnage. Venom in the comics is black with a blue outline often, and Carnage is of course red with a black outline. And this movie revises Carnage's origin story from Eddie's symbiote producing an offspring that fuses with his cellmate Cletus Cassidy to instead now be the result of Cletus biting Eddie and getting Eddie's symbiote infused blood in his system.
I have tasted blood before, and that is not it.
What's mine?
It's yours. And what's yours is mine.
And maybe this color design is that you got your chocolate, my peanut butter, you got your peanut butter, my chocolate idea, with Carnage's early form still having that black in his face before he appears to go all red later on, almost like he begins similar to the 1999 mummy who still must feast to reach his final complete form. Meanwhile, after the bite, those bits of red in Eddie's costuming are reflecting the way Cassidy has left him with some internal psychological bleeding. Venom chews on this tire chew toy marked Snooky.
What?
Well, no, that's just interesting, that kind of symbolism there. I like it.
Venom chews on this tire chew toy marked Snooky, not spelled like Nicole Polizzi spells it, but like Snooky's Cookies. Also looks like a tire that might have been used as a buoy on the side of a boat that might have been named Snooky. Eddie warns Venom that they'll be dragged off to Area 51. And interesting of Eddie to mention Area 51 existing in this universe because Area 51 was the subject of a blog post on J. Jonah Jameson's Daily Bugle website that was released by Sony. Now, as we still wait for a trailer for Spider-Man No Way Home and speculate on the ways Loki and Sylvie busted up the MCU's sacred timeline into a multiverse, we gotta admit, J.K. Simmons showing up as J. Jonah Jameson in Far From Home with no explanation could be one way alternate universe crossovers could have already been happening in the MCU and thus could signal Sony and Marvel's plans to justify how these crossovers are happening. That's not to say Venom Let There Be Carnage will be in the MCU. No, I don't think that's gonna be the case. But with a title like Spider-Man No Way Home, I think Sony might try to hint that it could be kind of this nexus point where on one side of a multiversal portal could be other Sony universes like the Raimi-verse, like the Mark Webb universe, and like this Venom corner of the universe. We visit the Ravencroft Institute, a prison and lab where super criminals are experimented on in the Marvel Comics. An East Coast version of this showed up in the Amazing Spider-Man 2 where Electro was briefly kept. We see this woman with silver hair walking down the hallway. She actually later appears outside of Shriek's cell, closing the hatch that's presumably to prevent Shriek's sonic blasts from getting out. This woman also showed up outside the chamber in the last trailer. This could be Dr. Kafka, who runs the Ravencroft Institute in the comics. Now, Shriek is Frances Barrison, who teams up with Carnage in the Maximum Carnage comic that seems to be partly inspiring this movie's plot. She has the ability to emit these powerful sonic blasts, and considering such frequencies tend to destabilize symbiotes from their hosts, I assume she will end up being the crucial weapon against Venom, or Carnage, or both. Notice how she has one blue eye, a nod to the blue mark that is over her eye in the comics. comics. Yeah, look closely, she is reading the Daily Bugle, and the headline, I think, reads Cletus Cassidy dead. Maybe Cletus and Francis had a previous relationship, and when Cassidy escaped, he could have been falsely reported as dead, with guards and media either not understanding what that Carnage transformation was, or technically this transformation occurred after he flatlined in the execution room. And when I do a breakdown of this movie, that will be the point I pitch a batshit theory that the whole movie takes place in Cletus Cassidy's flickering fantasies in the moments of his death. Venom breaks Eddie's nose.
I'm sorry. I don't know what came over me. Please let me fix it so I can break it again. I'm a loser.
And you can see how Eddie's crooked nose straightens itself from the inside, similar to the way Venom straightened Eddie's broken limbs in the first movie. Then this crime scene where Eddie is being interviewed by media. Now, Eddie's interviews with Cletus Cassidy seem to have led to discovery of bodies of Cletus Cassidy's past victims, making the police look bad and making Eddie more of a star for the Daily Bugle. And we see Eddie working on that story on his laptop, Daily Bugle West Coast Edition, since of course it is based out of New York. Inside the mind of serial killer Cletus Cassidy. We get inside the mind of Cletus Cassidy, the famous serial killer of our country, in this exclusive report that delves into his dark past, investigating his motives and madness. The masthead and logo are the same as the design we saw in the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies, unlike the InfoWars design of the website in the MCU. Now, of course, the Raimiverse already had a Venom, and the Andrew Garfield Mark Webb had a Daily Bugle and a J. Jonah Jameson, who appeared only in angry emails in Peter Parker's inbox. On the left side of the screen, you can see that Eddie has an actual account with the Daily Bugle server, meaning that he is working for them full time now. Among his notes are some of Cletus Cassidy's drawings, with a tree in a church similar to the sketches he made on the walls of his prison cell. And on the tree is the quote, "To thee the strife was given between the suffering." This is a line from Prometheus, an 1816 poem by English poet Lord Byron, which is a celebration of the Titan from Greek mythology, who stole fire from the gods to benefit mankind. It romanticizes his defiant struggle against the gods' wrath as he brought mortals and immortals closer in status. Similarly, with a title like "Let There Be Carnage," a paraphrase from the book of Genesis, Cassidy sees himself as a god figure, seeking to immortalize himself by stealing a power that came from the heavens. Similarly, on his prison cell wall is a quote from Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, the title also known as The Modern Prometheus, which was written in the same English Romantic literary era in 1818, exploring a similar subject matter of mankind defying mortality and producing this suffering, lonely Promethean figure. Cassidy says,
People love serial killers.
Correctly observing that this latest craze of true crime genre and documentary series and podcasts, society really has this dark fixation with famous sadistic psychopaths. Cassidy bites Eddie on his hand, the same place that Peter Parker famously gets bitten to get his powers.
I didn't even make that connection. That's such an obvious connection I didn't catch.
The biter. And in the other trailer, Cassidy kills a spider as he writes these postcards to Eddie, which looks like he's writing it in his blood, which might be how this relationship grew prior to the cross-contamination. Cassidy helps Eddie grow in his journalistic fame, so now Cassidy feels like Eddie owes him something. Carnage stops Cassidy's execution. You can see it leaking across his eyeballs in these red ink stains, actually similar to the bluish-blackish ones in Eddie's eyes in the previous film, and then bursting out of his chest and his hands in these red tendrils. And listen closely to this moment. Yeah, there's that little squeak at the end of the roar that you can also hear later during the prison shootout. Yeah, it doesn't sound like a pained whine released by a wounded animal, but rather a high-pitched demonic squeal made by something whose vocal cords are mid-transformation, like a windpipe being turned inside out. And Cassidy morphs into Carnage. I love how it first drains his eyeball to form this bulbous form of a Carnage eyeball, all while tugging out the side of his mouth that he opens to release Carnage's thick, gross tongue, as if this is all tearing out from Cassidy's scream. He spends a lot of time in this church, which seems like a nod to the level of the Maximum Carnage game, but I believe there also might be some influences from the more recent Absolute Carnage comic series, which featured Carnage taking over a cult worshipping the symbiote Clintar deity of Null and puppeting the unfortunate homeless of San Francisco as these drones as he forms his Church of Carnage. Now, the previous trailer showed Stephen Graham's character, Detective Mulligan, in his office with a map of San Francisco's Tenderloin district, known for its high population of homeless people, with a few incident markings on those blocks. By the way, it is believed that Mulligan could be Patrick Mulligan, a cop who, in the comics, gets infected with an offspring of Carnage to become the character Toxin. Carnage helps Cassidy escape prison. You can see as guards are closing in, one of Carnage's tendrils in the background suspend one dude high in the air. These guards shoot at him, and he opens a hole in his chest chest to let the bullets sail through and hit the guards behind him. But this also shows how Cassidy isn't like floating inside Carnage wearing him like a suit, but rather his flesh is fully infused with the symbiote matter. That's why Venom freaks out when Carnage is a red one. It signals to him that Cassidy has fully given over his blood to the symbiote, making them one, a stronger and more lethal connection than the give and take of Eddie and Venom's relationship. Carnage pins his prison guard and gives him a Franchi. I can't really tell if he's feeding on his organs or using the spiky tendril of his tongue to whisk it all up. And then this title card says this fall. A bit worrisome since the release date is supposed to be September 24th in the US, September 15th in the UK, making some of us a bit concerned that maybe rising cases of the Delta variant might delay the release. No, this does not mean Spider-Man No Way Home will get pushed. I just think Sony is keeping their options open for Let There Be Carnage.
Yeah.
Carnage faces a helicopter with his tendrils wrapped around. It looks like his convertible there. Now, Cassidy appears sitting next to Francis in this car in the other shot. And then there's a third shot showing Francis using her sonic blast to blow out the windshield at someone while pieces of Carnage are wrapped around this car. I assume this is all part of their escape from the Ravencroft Institute.
I did not know what that was until he explained it.
I
was so baffled. I was like, is someone annihilating the car? I didn't realize she was the one who was doing that until he just explained.
No, I got that, but I didn't realize that was Carnage on the car. That makes a lot more sense now.
You can also see as Carnage's arms explode out of the hatch of Francis's cell, and another shot where it tears down that same Ravencroft hallway. Then a close-up shows a framed photo of Annie with a cat from the first movie named Mr. Belvedere. Now the hand holding that frame has that engagement ring, making this Annie, so maybe Eddie returned this photo that he had of Annie as a way of signaling that he is moved on, and that he's okay with her engagement to Dan. And then this great moment where Venom reacts to Carnage.
Oh, shit!
Whoa, where you going?
That is a red one!
You need to come out right now. I will let you eat everybody!
Promise!
I promise!
Oh, yeah!
Yes, it's a bit similar to Hulk's refusal to take the reins from Bruce Banner in Infinity War. But here, Venom clearly fears Carnage and Cassidy's pure blood symbiosis compared to his weaker hold on Eddie. Now, I love this detail. Eddie's Mumford Phys Ed Department shirt with his Detroit Lions jacket is a nod to another famous Eddie, Eddie Murphy in Beverly Hills Cop 2. And when Eddie says, "I'll let you eat everybody," he is referring to multiple enemies that they're about to face. And if you look closely on the far end of the church on the altar beside Cassidy, there is a dark figure standing beside him. That must be the final form of Shriek. We also get this pretty gnarly close-up of Carnage's head. Notice the texturing on his tongue, all these black pockmarks like it is decaying, and then the contouring of his eye socket, it is jagged, just like it is in the comics. Like someone took their fingers and dipped it in white paint and just smeared it on the back of his head. Then we see Cassidy doing a little victory dance outside San Quentin, and then robbing what looks like Mrs. Chen's store. The cashier could be her son, but more importantly, this means Cassidy is in Eddie's neighborhood. Security feed on the screen nearby shows outside, including that red convertible that he's been driving around in. And then this montage of the fight between Venom and Carnage. Carnage's appendages pin Venom against the wall of a church, putting him in a Christ pose, meaning he might try to execute him via crucifixion in this church. It's a bit appropriate there. Eddie and Annie meet at that restaurant that they dined at in the 2018 film, and her engagement ring. If you compare that to the one Eddie gave her in the previous film, now that center stone is surrounded by a double halo and has stones on the band. It's just a way more expensive version of the ring that Eddie got her, which might be why Eddie and Venom take it so personally. You can support New Rockstars by checking out our many great merch options at newrockstarsmerch.com. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at EAVoss. Follow and subscribe to New Rockstars. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.
Wow.
That was thorough,
That was
man.
really thorough.
There were so many things in there that I didn't even pick up on. I mean, that's what New Rockstars does. Is they always reveal things that I didn't even catch. And so it's aptly titled Easter Eggs You Missed.
Yes.
Even the little detail of the red car in the security camera. Looking outside and whatnot. Being able to, connect these dots between the trailer and the comic book, knowing what this character will eventually become, the screamy lady.
Shriek. I really enjoyed all of the symbolism and stuff like that, and reading into it and interpreting it, because that just kind of, makes my little inner nerd happy.
One of the things that this is revealing is just how formidable the adversaries are going to be in this film if what he is predicting will come to light. I mean, the fact that he has to fight Shriek and Carnage. And was it just them two? I think there was one other person in there that he has to fight as well that was hinted at here, right?
I'm not sure. In that bit in the church where Venom was kind of like, "Oh no, I don't want it. He's red," and then you see two figures there. He said that was probably like the final incarnation of Shriek.
Right.
but I'm not sure.
Right.
If there is someone else, I didn't catch that.
There was something with this guy, with this particular character, with the cop.
With the cop.
Yeah,
no, he mentioned that he might be becoming Toxin. I had read in one of the comments on our video that someone was saying Toxin is actually like a good symbiote.
Oh, okay.
So like they were supporting the argument of, you know, the symbiote feeds off of who you are and your energy.
Oh, which is what I said.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So like, yeah. So if he fuses with a good guy, you know, like Eddie.
Yeah.
Or like the.
Oh, so it's
detective
entirely
here.
possible that Toxin will make an appearance in this film and fight on Eddie's side then.
It might be, or they might just be saving him for future films.
That's
Who knows?
possible as well.
Yeah.
I mean that probably makes more sense because it already feels like a very jam-packed film based on the trailer and based on this breakdown. It feels like there's a lot going on, but it's entirely possible that he comes in as a last-ditch effort to, you know, fight the evil in the movie, the Deus Ex Machina, you know, if you will.
Sure.
So it's possible because they establish in the film the rule of like this guy, you know, bit into his hand and then became this Carnage.
Yeah.
And so it's possible that dude can bite into his hand and Eddie offers it to him. It's like, help me out.
Help me. No, I mean, he doesn't know. You never know what's going to happen though, right? It's
Sure.
like you don't know
What the reaction
is going to be. You don't know
The effects.
what the form is going to take.
One of the things that was made really, really clear here is just how important Shriek is to the story, because when I saw her initially in the trailer, I just kind of wrote her off as just, oh, that's just someone who's also in this prison, like kind of like Arkham Asylum or something like that.
Yeah, me too at first.
You know, like she just is not that important. She'll show up and then go away, you know, because there was some stuff like that kind of in the previous Venom film with Michelle Lee, where it's like, you know,
oh right, yeah,
the Venom, what the symbiote was moving around and whatnot. And so I was thinking it was going to be something kind of like that, where she wasn't all that important, but like off of this, I'm like, oh no, she's actually like crucial to the whole story. I'm not exactly clear on why just yet, other than maybe there's a brewing romance between those two characters.
Yeah, it seems like they're connected in that way, but also her power just happens to be the power that can disarm them.
Just blow the hair off of Venom.
Yeah, right. Because it's about like loud sounds like that, like the bells.
That made an appearance in Spider-Man 3 as well, where that's how Peter Parker got rid of Venom initially, by going to a church next to the bell, and it's like Venom couldn't deal with it and then fell off of Peter Parker and ended up on Eddie Brock.
Okay.
Who was played by, I'm pretty sure it was Eddie Brock, who was played by the guy from that 70s show. I can't remember the actor's name. I've only seen Spider-Man 3 once, so it's been a minute, but I'm pretty sure that's what happens in the film. He goes into a church and it falls off, and meanwhile Eddie Brock is down at the bottom, just so happens, praying to God for something, and like then Venom's the answer.
Okay.
It's a nonsensical film, so
I don't remember it. Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, you're right, and so her having that power does make a lot of sense, and it makes me wonder if, as kind of hinted at here in the breakdown, if there will be a moment where she turns on Carnage and uses her power for good.
Yeah, or she's just like, screw you both, peace out. Yeah.
Blowing the skin off both your faces.
Yeah.
It seems like, especially with what he was explaining here, which is the merging of Woody Harrelson and Carnage, or you know, the symbiote or whatever, they're even more fused than Eddie Brock and Venom, right?
Yeah.
It seems like at a certain point, Woody Harrelson is gone from the film. Him as the actor. The character's there, obviously, as Carnage.
Right.
But it seems like at a certain point, he's not even present.
Yeah, I mean, that might well be the case, right? Because he's assimilated completely.
Yeah.
So there's no need for the duality.
Yeah.
And he was kind of saying how like the tongue looked decayed and everything. And I'm wondering like, oh, is that just his body is breaking down and just becoming part of Carnage more and more?
I didn't see that as a detail that made sense to me. That to me, it was just like, that was just a detail of the tongue.
Right.
Like sometimes you just have, the other day I was watching, not the other day, even this morning I was watching an old video of VFX artists react, and they were talking about Thanos in Avengers Infinity War, and they zoomed in tight on his face, and he had like facial hair, and it's just to make him look more lifelike. Right. It's an imperfection that makes him look more lifelike.
Sure.
And so to me, that's just to avoid it looking like more cartoony. They wanted it to look more real, and by having those imperfections in there, it looks more real.
Sure.
That's how I took it. That's my translation or my interpretation of that. I don't see it as a decay or, you know, it's falling apart or anything like that. New Rockstars is more on top of understanding.
Yeah,
that
like
stuff.
they're getting everything, like reflections, like look at the doctor through the window and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, dang, okay.
Right.
And then like all of the stuff with Frankenstein and Prometheus and all that, like I loved that, being like someone who enjoyed learning about literature in school and all that. I'm like, oh yeah, that like totally makes sense. This idea of, him being like Prometheus, like Cletus Cassidy, right? He's giving Eddie Brock all of this info and like helping him to build his career, and then now he's like, no, I'm gonna take something back, Like, yeah, it's a nice little connection there. I like it.
That was a fun video. I enjoyed that a lot, and hopefully you guys did too. It certainly educated me and gave me a more well-rounded understanding of what to expect out of the film. And it actually has me even more excited now because, watching the trailer, I was already going to watch the movie.
Yeah.
I was already in. I already had like my chips in.
Yeah.
But watching this breakdown, I'm like, oh my God, there's like so much more than what meets the eye in a good way. Because like with the last one, I pretty much got what I thought I was going to get out of that trailer.
Yeah.
It didn't seem like it was anything much deeper than what the trailer had led on. Whereas here, there's many more levels to the story than the trailer was indicating at first glance. And so that's pretty exciting.
It definitely looks very exciting.
Thank you, New Rockstars, for breaking that down. And you guys, if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel, hit that bell icon, all notifications, and please vote this video up if you could be so kind. I'm Jaby Koay. This is
ACHARA KIRK.
Peace out.